Hello, everyone. I want to do a quick look into the Karen Reed trial. I admittedly am not that caught up on the actual happenings, but that doesn't really matter in this case because I really wanted to look into where the jury's head is at and what is most likely to be coming up ahead. As always, this is an energy reading. It's all alleged, my opinion, not facts. And for those saying, why wouldn't you look into it before doing the reading? Because I don't want to go into it with an immediate bias. I don't want to read things and my emotions be attached to certain things that I'm reading and then my reading be based off of that. So I wanted to do the reading, but not from that energy. So let's see kind of where the jury and the predictive energy is at. And then I'm going to look into the trial updates and see what questions you have about them. So on the comments of this video, please leave your questions about the trial itself as opposed to how this video is covering more of the jury's perspective of it, if that makes sense. And then I'm going to update myself a bit on that, give myself a minute to digest, and then I'll do a reading on your questions. So please leave them below in the comments. Okay. Where's the jury's head at? Let's just start there. What is the general energy that is in that jury room with the jury? What's the vibes? What's the vibes? Six of Cups, Three of Pentacles in reverse, and the Emperor in reverse. The past, lack of teamwork, authority in reverse to me would be the prosecution. It's like right now, the prosecution is having trouble getting past certain things. How do I word that better? It feels like from the jury's perspective, the energy in the jury room is we haven't really made it that far past what wasn't enough to convict in the last trial. Matter of fact, the Emperor in reverse, maybe the prosecution has made it a little bit worse for themselves in some ways because one, why don't we have better explanations for things than we did the first time around or than the other jury did the first time around? And two, the scrambling to come up with like Three of Pentacles in reverse is a lack of teamwork. So it's almost like, okay, but what this person says and what that person says aren't in alignment. So who do we believe? It kind of feels like that. And the Six of Cups is like, we've seen this song and dance before. We're still stuck in the past. You had a whole time to prepare for trial and we're still not making progress. Not disposing of evidence. What can't, I mean, that's the whole thing right there. What can't they explain away? Where's the phone? Where's the dog? Where's all this stuff that's missing? Why is it missing? Why don't you have a better explanation for it? Why are we still stuck in the past about it? I'm trying to think of how to frame my next question. The Emperor in reverse. Give me a card about the jury viewing the prosecution as kind of losing some of their authority here. Prosecution as losing some. Oh, we have a bridge. Okay, so whenever it's on its side like this, I always usually take it as a bridge. It's connecting something on this side and something on this side. So before we even flip it over, let's just get the whole picture here. Something on that side. Okay, so we're referencing the prosecution's loss of authority in the jury's eyes because why aren't we able to come up with a better explanation of where is the evidence? And why did you go out of your way to make sure that it wasn't here at the trial? So the bridge is caught. The bridge is caught. Supplier in reverse. Supplier in reverse. Right directly over top of disposing of evidence. We have supplier in reverse, caught as the bridge, right over top of upright disposing of evidence. And then we have this card still flipped over. So the jury is looking at the prosecution as caught on its side. Who are you protecting by not giving forward this evidence that you want to dispose of? Who would get in trouble if we had this information? Who else would not look good if we had this information? Supplier in reverse, I'm not giving it to you. Supplier is who should have given the evidence that was disposed of, right? So the bridge then that the jury is looking at as why did the prosecution lose some of their authority, Emperor in reverse, is the bridge between who are you protecting by not giving this information bridged over to why you're protecting them. Who are you protecting? Because that person's the first domino. If that one person that's being protected were to fall, so is everyone else that was protecting them. So why can't that evidence come forward? Because it's not just one person that would go down. It's the whole line of them. So the jury's starting to look at this as, it's interesting that this evidence that's all missing seems to kind of be having us not be able to look at a certain perspective that we would if we have any of these pieces of evidence. Allegedly. What testimony struck a deeper nerve than anyone expected? Now, I may have to pause here to look up whatever I get because, again, I'm not all the way up to date on it. Let's see. What testimony struck a deeper nerve than anyone expected? And by anyone expected, I mean the jury. What struck a deeper nerve testimony-wise than the jury expected before they started testifying? Five of Pentacles in reverse, the Hierophant, the Sun. That makes me think the children. What testimony struck a deeper nerve than anyone expected? I'm going to look it up because I don't know exactly what testimony this would be. Let me get two more cards here. Seven of Pentacles, Four of Cups. I'm going to look up what testimony this would be, and then I'll pull some additional cards. But something about what struck a deeper nerve. I was going to go the direction of the children until I pulled these clarifiers. Shining a light on the willingness of the side of the authorities, so like the investigators, police, what have you, to try and buy time. So I was at first when these cards came out, especially with the Sun card in this deck because it has two children on it. I was going to go in the direction of something said about the children, and then I felt called to pull those clarifiers, and it's going in a whole different direction in my brain. So what testimony struck a deeper nerve than the jury expected was something about a purposeful delay on the investigative side of things, in which it kind of felt like they were maybe flexing how much they're able to get away with. Like almost testimony that would potentially be viewed by the jury as, yes, it's legal what they did, but we can tell that they pushed it to the absolute edge of what the timeline would allow. And that in combination with what is not here paints a picture of a deeper nerve struck. That deeper nerve I thought was gonna be emotions at first, but it feels like that deeper nerve is like, I can't make sense of that. I can't reconcile why they would wait that long, why they would buy time, why it something along those lines. Um, Need more information on this. Why they would wait so long? Why would legal proceedings in reverse, outside, out in the open? So inside info prior to the legal proceedings. Inside info prior to the legal proceedings. Burial. That's a bunch, but they all flipped over. So let's see what we got. Burial, celebrity in reverse, breakup, divorce, separation. Life insurance, New World Order, treason in reverse. Science experiment, trapped in reverse. Oh. Oh. That's why I was initially going in the direction of the children, and then I changed it. Why would they wait so long? Why would they buy time? The dominoes. It just clicked in my mind. See, I don't know if this was testimony, like, in the context of the way I'm about to answer the question, or if it's just something that's been discussed throughout trial that has struck the nerve. Okay, so I don't know if what I just said makes sense, but what testimony struck a deeper nerve than anyone expected? If it was so overwhelmingly obvious, or there was so much evidence, or there was so much knowledge of what happened with Sandra Birchmore, why was everyone so quiet for so long? And what else are they willing to cover for one another about in order to protect their own? Blackmail paid off in reverse. Cleanup. Oh my God. Oh, I don't, what length are they willing to go to protect one of their own, even if it means silencing someone who won't take the blackmail to shut up? Inside in reverse. We had outside out in the open here. Inside in reverse, how far will they go to silence someone who can't be blackmailed? Inside in reverse is like, how far are they willing to go to silence someone who has information that is not supposed to get out to the public? What testimony struck? Okay, hold on. Let me put some cards down. Oh, that one works. Okay. What testimony struck a deeper nerve than anyone expected? If everything that was going on with Sandra Birchmore's case was so intricate, so involved, there was so much cover up, there was so much secrecy, but there was so much, uh, like, looking at what is being viewed now as the crime, right? How was it that that was undetected by so many people, and there are so many people who definitely should have detected that that was going on and done something about it, right? So this is like what struck a deeper nerve than anyone expected. If they're willing to be silent about that when it's so obvious and it's so, like, long standing, I wonder what they would do if someone did not agree to the silence that they needed them to. Collapse. Social media in reverse. Either we ruin your reputation or we make it so that you cannot be heard publicly, allegedly. What bias, fear, or doubt is pulling the verdict off course? What bias, fear, or doubt is pulling the verdict off course, if any? If any. What bias, fear, or doubt is pulling the verdict off course? The Emperor, the Nine of Cups, and the Six of Cups. So now we have something that the prosecution is doing right. Nine of Cups, something that they're getting what they want in regard to. Six of Cups. Six of Cups, like the previous trial, or Six of Cups. Six of Cups has what? That can go so many different ways. Seven of Swords and Three of Swords in reverse. Release, lack of betrayal. What bias, fear, or doubt is pulling the verdict off course? Releasing betrayal. The prosecution doing something right. Six of Cups. This is tricky because it doesn't feel like it's something that is currently pulling them off course, but it feels like something that has the potential to, if Six of Cups progress is not made. So if there is not able to be a stronger foundation of why or how or whatever, of why someone else that was in the house would have done this to John, it just feels like they're lacking the conviction of, if it wasn't Karen, then it means it was someone in the house, more than likely. And what's pulling the verdict off course is almost like, if that was the case, a lot more things should have been focused on the first go around. Like, almost like the jury's having this moment, or could potentially have this moment of, if that really was what happened, if he really did go in the house and that's how he met his ending, how is it possible that none of that came out to the extent of being proven in the first go around? It's almost like they're having that, like, that moment, or they could potentially. I don't, that's kind of, and it doesn't feel, again, what bias, fear, or doubt is pulling them off course. It doesn't feel like it necessarily is the Fool in reverse. It's like we haven't gone in that general path yet, but it feels like there's potential to. Am I explaining that correctly? That's the fear. Okay. Bias, fear, or doubt. This card is literal fear. Okay. And I feel like that's maybe just like a general human thing. Like, if I'm going to make this big claim that these people in power, or if I'm going to believe that these people in power did something, then I need to reconcile, how did they get away with this the whole first trial? Am I just going with what I'm hearing on the outside? Like, that kind of thing. Maybe that, like, back and forth with, like, their own internal dialogue is how I would word that. What narrative does the jury want to believe, and why? What narrative does the jury want to believe, and why? We want, this is literal wish fulfillment, we want to release Karen. I mean, walking away unfulfilled in reverse. And typically, It's just a man on the 8 of Cups here. But this is the after tarot. Oh, after tarot. After tarot, after court. This is walking away unfulfilled, upright, but it came out in reverse. And it's a woman that's looking at the cup while the man is walking away in reverse. I mean, wish fulfillment, release, lovers would be partner, would be Karen. 8 of Cups in reverse shows the woman looking at the cup instead of the man. It's coming out in reverse. So there's some kind of fulfillment of a wish or fulfillment on either side. 9 of Cups with 8 of Cups in reverse. You know when people like are trying to sneak away from something or trying to get away from something and they're like backing up, like and they back up into something? It's almost like this is painting the picture in my mind of the jury wants to like be kind of backing up and hit this wall of undeniable, okay, look, here's the one thing that shows she couldn't have done it. But then there's evidence that's not making it into the courtroom that should have. So that's where it's like, what does the jury want to believe and why? They want to believe that there's that one piece of evidence that not only will show that she didn't do it, but will allow them to be like, okay, maybe there is some basis to believe that something else did happen here. But again, it feels like there's this energy of if we don't get that one piece of undeniable, we're backing up away from it and we hit a wall. We hit it. We can't not see it. We bump into it. Like, and I feel like there's a lot of doubt if that's going to be able to be like done. Yeah, the Ace of Swords in reverse is lack of clarity. It's like we're hopeful that it exists, but we're not holding our breath for it in terms of that one piece of proof that would prove there's no way she could have done it. Because one second. Because they know the likelihood is that that would have already been disposed of if there was that kind of proof. So we want to believe that that kind of proof exists, but without it, how do we make that decision when we think that there's probably something that would be in her favor, but you're not giving it to us and we have no way to get it? Struggle in reverse. There has been no struggle to what? They got it wrong in reverse. There has been no struggle to they got it right. There has been no struggle to they got it right because the first time it didn't lead to a conviction per se. That's why they're retrying. There's no struggle to prove they got it right. This jury is seeing why the other jury struggled so much to make the decision because there just isn't enough to prove beyond reasonable doubt that the only plausible explanation would be Karen doing this. There's not enough. So this jury, what does the jury want to believe and why? They want to believe that there is some kind of proof that shows that she didn't do this, but they also feel like, yeah, the other jury got it right. There's stuff being hidden. There's not enough to make that decision. War is the card that came out. Show me either side of the war. One side is a partnership that came out right on top of the Lovers card. And the other side is lies. Allegedly. So Karen, hold on. Actually, let me pull a card for that statement. So the war is Karen versus lies. Regret in reverse. PSYOP political warfare. Karen, the war is Karen, is what I said first. Regret in reverse. Jail in reverse. Handcuffs in reverse. I didn't do this. Versus lies. PSYOP, political warfare. Trying to beat out your opponent by destroying their name and reputation, i.e., what they're doing to Karen Read. All right, 1 second. Who or what still holds the power to sway the jury's final decision? Who or what, and by what I mean like what testimony or what evidence or what specific. So who or what can still sway what the jury is thinking? Interesting. 8 of Swords in reverse, 2 of Wands, and then in reverse, Queen of Cups and Swords. Who or what still holds the power to sway the jury's final decision? Freedom, planning, a manipulation of logic. Freedom, planning, manipulation of logic. In attempt to strong arm whomever against Karen. Separation from King of Pentacles. It's almost like there's this energy of if they push something a little too far in order to make up for something that they lack. Like we really need to push. This kind of gives like final speech vibes, like anyone okay, I'll word it like this. Let me pull a card to make sure I'm on the right track. Hangman in reverse. Lack of surrender. Anyone who is still on the fence-ish by the end of this, that final closing speech, closing arguments, sorry. If they push too, if they, the prosecution, push too hard on the character of Karen as opposed to the evidence that they lack, then it may sway those people who may kind of be on the fence at the end to go with acquitting her or not guilty, whatever. I don't know what, but it feels like that. It feels like almost like there may be a couple on the jury who are having almost like a crisis of conscience, like, okay, this is how I feel, but this is what was proven, or something along those lines. So it feels like there will be kind of some weight put on how personal versus professional they make the closing arguments, if that makes sense. And it feels like not to everyone, because it feels like some people are very set already in the direction they want to go, but the ones who are still kind of up in the air. All right, so now we're going into what is coming next. What is a hidden truth that's likely to surface still that has not surfaced yet? Justice, 4 of Cups, Hierophant, 9 of Wands. Before the court. See how there's 2 people like kneeling before the judge in this because it's the after tarot? Throwing myself at the mercy of the court. Some kind of download. Download, this is usually the hand coming out of the clouds, and the cup is with that, but this is after tarot. It's the scene after, so this person's dumping out the cup. There was a download that's been dumped out. We have the court on either side here and a wall. What hidden truth is most likely to surface next? It's almost like maybe not like outright being said, but more being felt or like looked at. Basically, how do I word this? What hidden truth is most likely to surface next? The realization that the court took steps to try and hide, cover, or protect information that was lost. But again, I don't feel like this is someone being like, look, this is what the court did. I feel like it's something that just becomes overwhelmingly obvious to the point where even those who want it to ignore it can't. Let's get some whispers for that. Is that? No, that's not on the screen. I'm not going to take it. Overwhelmingly obvious. Party celebration in reverse. Hands. Kidnapped, hands tied in reverse. Party celebration in reverse. Releasing data, information, pictures, whatever about the party. What hidden truth is most likely to surface next? Witness. And there's a card under witness. Party celebration. Kidnapped, hands tied, both in reverse. Witness upright with a card underneath of it. Why did the court not push harder to get certain data points, information, pictures, surrounding footage? Like, how is it that there's nothing? In this day and age, how is it that every piece of information that would have been helpful to actually prove beyond a reasonable doubt what happened here, how is every single piece of that somehow missing? Oh, neighborhood in reverse. Ring cam, like people's footage from the party. Like, it's the silence of what is not there becomes very loud. That's the hidden truth that's likely to surface next. But it feels like there is some kind of testimony, or there's something that happens that people are like, okay, now it's like, okay, what do you mean you don't have that? Like, but it's something additional that hasn't happened yet. What witness or piece of evidence will change the direction of the trial? It's interesting. So we just had witness, the witness card come out. Judgment, 10 of Pentacles, Queen of Swords, all reversed. What witness or piece of evidence will change the direction of the trial? None. Not yet. Judgment is reading to me like upon the conclusion. Upon the conclusion of the trial, you start to look at fractures in certain dynamics that were long-standing beforehand, and you realize, oh, there's certain things that were left unsaid there, if that makes sense. But it doesn't really feel like there's anything that is going to change the direction of the trial. It just feels like it's more and more being revealed kind of as we would expect, if that makes sense. 6 of Cups in reverse. But what is different from appearance number 1 for Karen Reed, trial number 1, what is different? 6 of Cups in reverse. A release, follow the money. What is different is that we can prove more so the trail towards we can prove more so the trail towards danger. I guess I'd say what witness or piece of evidence will change the direction of the trial? It doesn't feel like the direction is changing. It just feels like more and more is being revealed that paints the picture of release, follow the money, danger. Like almost like breadcrumbs that looking at them one at a time don't mean anything, but if you look at the entire trail of the start to the end of these breadcrumbs, it paints a very revealed picture. So I don't really think anything is going to change the direction. I think it's just getting deeper into the onion, revealing more and more. Not as a whole, but like, oh, here's another breadcrumb. Oh, here's another breadcrumb. Oh, here's another breadcrumb. And eventually, after there's been enough breadcrumbs, you have this basket full of breadcrumbs, and you can no longer ignore the fact that breadcrumbs exist, if that makes sense. Um, that's what I'm getting there. Hopefully that makes sense. What crack will appear in the prosecution's foundation? What cracks will appear in the prosecution's foundation? Ace of Pentacles in reverse. What's missing? What's not there? The dots that are unable to connect to the court. What cracks will begin to appear? What is missing or what's not there? Money. What is missing or what's not there? Money. In reverse. It's like Karen's not collecting a life insurance policy. She's not getting anything but like stress out of this. This to me is like what crack will appear? It feels like there's a lot more reason that they would want to silence him than there is for her to risk all of this over a breakup. That's kind of what I'm getting with that. So like why is there so much missing if it's so cut and dry what happened? What crack will appear in the prosecution's foundation? Not being able to connect to burial, not being able to connect to John's death. What crack will appear in the prosecution's foundation? It's almost like the realization of why they had to push so hard to destroy Karen's character because there was such a lack of evidence and they knew that there was going to be from the very start. A lack of giving it to the court to connect to John's death, a lack of like what does she actually get out of this versus work in reverse, the coworkers. What crack will appear in the prosecution's foundation? Okay, my final answer to this. The crack that will start to appear is by the end of this when you look at it as the defense saying, okay, but prove it. Okay, where's your proof of that? Okay, where's the evidence of that? Okay, there's we believe there's evidence that contradicts that. Where is that? Oh, you don't have it? That's convenient. Versus the prosecution being like, oh, she's crazy and didn't want to break up with him and she must have done it, but oops, we lost the proof. What crack will appear in the prosecution's foundation? It's almost like looking at it in that context. I don't know. That's just the picture it's painting in my mind. The crack that will appear is just that. It's like look at who has what to lose here versus how they're approaching things. Truth versus fear. Truth versus fear. The truth, to me here, data points. This is a thumbprint. This is like a computer screen evidence thing. That would be how I just described Karen's side. Okay, if that's the case, where's the proof? Oh, you don't have it? Oh, it got thrown out in a random dumpster? Oh, you don't have that dog? If all this is if you could prove this, why'd you get rid of all the proof? Versus the opposite of love is fear. Let's intimidate her. Let's scare her. Let's get her to bend. Let's get her to fold. Let's get her to take a deal. Let's get her to whatever. Truth versus fear. I don't know how else to describe that. Hopefully that makes sense. That's what I'm seeing. What defense angle is being underestimated but will land with force? What defense angle is being underestimated but will land with force? Nine of Pentacles in reverse, Death, and the Hermit. Not independence, the opposite of independence. So on the other side, we have the Hermit. So not John, but someone connected to John in a way that deals with pentacles. Death, the ending of something, so something new can take its place. What defense angle is being underestimated but will land with force? Oh, because the question I asked earlier. What testimony struck a deeper nerve than anyone expected? If they're willing to be silent about the Sandra Birchmore thing, what else are they willing to be silent about or silence others for? What is the defense angle that's being underestimated but will land with force? Nine of Pentacles in reverse, not John, but has something to do with John. The ending of something so something else can begin. This card, instead of just being the regular Hermit, shows him coming with the snake in his hand out of the cave. And instead of a little white dog, it's a big black dog. This, to me, betrayal, the shadows coming out, not John, someone connected to John, ending of something so something else can begin. What defense angle is being underestimated but will land with force? Proctor. The accusations, the firing, all of that. It's almost like the outside looking in, you may question, are they really even taking this into account, what this implies, what it means, what it sets the precedent for? And I feel like it's landing with more force than we may from the outside realize. And that doesn't even feel like what defense angle. That fell on screen, right? It feels more like, again, the fact that the prosecution tries to frame it in a certain way, like they try to frame it as like a one-time, one-off thing, but like, how did that happen? Because people had to cover for that. So how could it be that if there was obviously covering for or turning a blind eye to certain things with the Sandra Birchmore case? So what defense angle is being underestimated? I don't really feel like it's the defense's angle so much as it is just that being out there, that he's been charged, that there's, the investigation and what the investigation has revealed, what the accusations are, right? I feel like that being out there is what this implies, is that is having a much bigger impact on the jury than it would have ever been able to the first time around. Medical emergency in reverse, embezzlement in reverse. Because who else knew and covered for the fact that this was not a self-unaliving and it was not natural causes? It's like embezzlement in reverse. Who took money to cover this up? Road distance journey for this long. Who has been quiet about this since it happened that knew something? So what defense angle is being underestimated but will land with force? Is the jury sitting there like, "Man, if they're willing to turn a blind eye to that, where's the line? Where do you draw the line? What would say that they wouldn't do the same thing here?" Allegedly. Okay. Last question that I have. What is the final emotional tone that the trial will leave behind? What is the final emotional tone that the trial will leave behind on the other side of the verdict? Two of Pentacles, Page of Swords, and Judgment all in reverse. Lack of fair representation. Upon, before, or after final judgment. This is weird. What is the final emotional tone? Manipulation, delay. It's almost like no matter which way this goes, it's going to lead to more because of the can of worms that's been opened about what's been going on behind the scenes. So the final emotional tone is like, we're not willing to accept the non-answers that we were given about certain things. How do people feel? Sorry, my nose is itchy from allergies. What is the final emotional tone the trial will leave behind for Karen? How will Karen feel about the trial upon its completion? I'm no longer fighting against immaturity. I'm connected to what? I kind of get the vibes that it's like similar-ish to the first one where it's like we can't convict on this or that, but we can on this lesser something, and then there's some kind of appeal process. Four of Wands in reverse is like I'm no longer fighting with immaturity, but I'm not home free yet. What about how the prosecution will feel upon the completion? 4 and 7 of 4, 7, and 3 of Pentacles all reversed. Release. What didn't work between us, and try a new strategy. I feel like it's not over. I don't. Either it's not over because there needs to be some kind of appeal, but it's like we don't convict on all this, we convict on something lesser. Or I guess this could be, okay, there's like a hung jury or a mistrial or something, and then I have to fight further to clear my name from her perspective. I guess it could be that. But it really feels to me like there's still an additional step here. Because there's like a strategy change still. Lack of wish fulfillment. Dumping out an offer. Decision. That's not what I want. That's not good enough. I'm going to fight to to go further to clear my name. I feel like there's some kind of appeal. Show me appeal. One card for appeal. Queen of Cups in reverse. Not being emotionally at ease yet. Show me one card for lesser charges of some kind. Seven of Swords, looking over at the Queen of Cups. Why am I not at ease yet? Seven of Swords, betrayal, sabotage. Something worked, but I haven't all the way stepped in it yet. Show me card for the potential of Karen walking completely free after the conclusion of this trial. Page of Wands in reverse. No, there's still another step. Upright, that would be, yeah, freedom, adventure. Go have at it. Do whatever you want. In reverse, over top of the Queen of Cups is like, I'm not free yet, and it's breaking my heart. I'm not in the clear yet, and it's breaking my heart. Okay, so the people watching this right now that believe Karen should be free because they believe that she did not do this, how will those people be feeling after the conclusion of the trial? How will they be feeling? Six of Cups in reverse, Death, Four of Swords. Made some progress, but something else still needs to come to an end here. I don't know, it reads to me like appeal. But it doesn't read like worst case scenario and then appeal. It reads like lesser charges, and then I'm still not satisfied with that. I'm going to appeal it. Or I'm going to do something. I don't know what else would be the... What about the people that are watching this right now? Like, no, Karen did it. Karen should be in jail. Well, how are those people going to feel at the conclusion of the trial? Ace of Cups, Three of Wands, Page of Pentacles. Page of Pentacles is someone bigger offering a pentacle to a little gnome down here. So to me, again, this is like, this would be positive with the Ace of Cups. The dove would be symbolic of like innocence here. Then we have the hawk in the same spot. How are those who think Karen should be put away going to feel? Innocence, protection, big offering to small. I honestly feel like this reads as they're going to view the decision as fair because yes, okay, to be honest with you, I am not someone who feels that Karen did this. I'll just put that out there right now. But let's play devil's advocate for a second and say that I am, because I don't know how else to word this. So let's say that I am someone right now that thinks Karen did it, she should be in jail, and I got these three cards. This to me would be like, the big piece that we needed to prove this never really came out. And isn't it three things she's charged with too? This to me is like lesser, like the lesser charges, right? And we still have the Seven of Swords kind of peeking over at this whole scene. So this to me is her, not innocence, but like, if I really think she did it, I feel like she was protected in a way from what did not come out, what evidence did not be produced. So I feel like this lesser offer here is fair because do I feel like she's innocent? No, but do I feel like they weren't able to prove that because of things that they're still waiting for or that we're still waiting to see? Yes. So I accept this lesser charge thing because of lack of the Holy Grail, lack of proving it fully. That's what I'm getting. Please remember this is an energy reading. It's all alleged, my opinion, not fact. Let's do a final message from John about either what I said or something about the trial. Trapped in reverse popped out. Spouse, partner. No in reverse. Party celebration in reverse. Release underneath of it. Evidence in reverse. They don't have any evidence of Karen leaving the party and actually hitting me. So because they didn't have it, they had to create it or coax it into being. School in reverse. The breadcrumbs I referenced. All the little different numbers are the breadcrumbs in reverse. One second. In conclusion, if I could make a final statement that from these cards from John, they don't have the evidence to prove that Karen did this because it does not exist. That's why they had to give different breadcrumbs in order to try and get you to lead yourself to that conclusion. But their math ain't mathin'. And I think that that is a direct point to something in the timeline. But I guess I'd say with this, John's final statement would be, when it comes to what they're saying about Karen, look at what they've put out in terms of evidence that doesn't make sense about the party and know that their math ain't mathin'. Manipulation, gaslighting, and control. All right. That's all for now. Yeah, okay. Please remember that this is an energy reading. It's all alleged, my opinion, not fact. And it's so interesting because I accidentally pushed this card off the screen. So it's like the manipulation's not coming from Karen. Anyway, I will talk to you soon. Please check out the Humans for Humanity podcast. There's 2 new episodes with Brock and Michaela that are out from last week. And I have my friend Sarah that I am filming with from my hometown on Wednesday. So there'll be another episode coming out soon. Please check out the podcast. Please remember that none of this is fact. It is all alleged. Talk to you soon. Thank you for watching.